If it is or if it ain't, it's going to come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is January the 28th, 2023, and today the topic is Condemning Yourself. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. Thank you to those of you all that tuned in last night to the episode of the GSL Talk Show with Dr. Benny T. Davis. I hope that you all were encouraged and inspired by his testimony. Full of energy, definitely an inspiring gentleman. So if you guys missed it, go and check it out. It should be our featured video on GodSexAndLove.com. Shout out to my husband, y'all. Shout out to my husband. He officially graduated the software development program that he was in. So, woo, go honey. So God be the glory, man. Excited for him. We don't know exactly, which way he's going to go, whether he's going to continue more training or, jump right into the field. Who knows what the Lord is going to do, but I'm excited for him to reach this goal. He was so excited to talk about, I guess, like the final project that he had presented and I guess the team collaboration that he was working on. And apparently he, played a major role in I guess the success of the project. So again, man, shout out to him. Speaking of him as well, he's the reason why your girl was up this morning. Well, technically I was up, but he thought he peeked in to make sure I was up, right, and turned the lights on and everything. So so shout out to him, man. Super proud of him. We kind of celebrated a little bit yesterday. I just kind of ordered in and just had a little moment of family time. And then yesterday evening, I was actually recording another on another program, which is really, really cool. Like, I'm excited for y'all to hear and see it. It was very interesting because so I log in and I look at the screen and there's this little cartoon image of me. So this podcast goes all the way out with it, I guess, with their guests. Like, it's kind of crazy. On one hand, it was a little awkward, I ain't gonna lie, because like they had my caricature in this like the gentleman said it's a yoga pose. It seems very sensual-ish, but okay, but at the same time, it's still kind of funny. So I just was like, whatever. I just was shocked to see a little cartoon me. On the screen, I'm like, is that me? Hopefully I'll be sharing that with y'all later on. I mean, I guess it seems like their program is kind of like mine, where they record and then it's going to come out later. But again, I feel like everything is right on time. Like even Mr. Benny's interview last night played right on time in this week of like transitions for me, and in this week of like me I've been telling y'all all week that it's like I'm getting ready to embark on some new endeavors and all these little things, and it just was super motivating to hear his testimony yesterday. And I feel like that's how it's been. Like, everybody's interview has been coming out in a timely manner, according to whatever according to whatever is happening in my life. So I don't know how it fits in with y'all's life, but I'm just saying it's just very interesting. So yeah, I'll let y'all know when that episode is coming out, and everything like that. But I thought that was very interesting. So that was what Friday looked like for me. This morning, I technically woke up at 3:54. That's what time the Lord woke me up this morning. I did my thing. I looked up the Strongs and I looked up the Bible verse. I more so tend to focus on the Bible verse. The interesting thing is I was a little bit distracted and whatnot this morning. I listened to the prayer meditation. I was looking at different things. And I came across this article that apparently was quoting LeBron James on some of the recent events going on. If those of you are in the States, I mean, I haven't kept up with this story enough to know, but I know a little bit in regards to apparently there's been another, I hate to say it like this, but I guess like a black man that was beaten by police and all these different type of things. But this time it's like all the policemen were also black men. I don't know what happened, why the man was, I don't know any of that. I haven't looked into the story, so, you know, my apologies for bringing it to you without doing my quote unquote due diligence or research or whatever about that particular story and topic. I'm sure y'all might be familiar with it, so y'all can look up that stuff on your own to see all of that. I don't know if I want to see the video. I think I might have saw like a clip of the video. Obviously there's a lot of videos coming out these days, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. They ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Basically, I'm bringing it up because I came across this quote that from LeBron James, and he said, "We are our own worst enemy." And it just made me think about, like, well, when I was reading this verse, I guess the Lord brought that, seeing that quote back to my heart and mind. And it just made me think about all the different quotes that are along the same lines, that ones that say, like, you know, we are our own worst critics, or, you know, and things like that. And so that's what my mind was on this morning. And ultimately, it led me to call this chit chat condemning yourself, because a lot of times we do that. We condemn ourselves. And then honestly, as I was thinking about this morning as well, I'm like, God don't even really condemn us, like, when you really look at it. Like, I mean, on one hand, I think we think that, right? Again, I feel like we were talking about this the other day. Like, we think maybe God hates us and all these different types of things or whatever. But it's like, when you really, really look at it, like, he's not the one condemning us at the end of the day. Like, he's made a way for us. We can, you know, agree or disagree. You know, we have the choice. He's not forcing us to believe Jesus. None of that, you know. He made a way, though, you know, and all are welcome and everything like that. And so I guess with all of that on my heart and mind, we'll see, you know, what all the Lord has to say with me, for me, and through me today. But that's what I ended up studying, and it was pretty much inspired by this verse that I came across when I looked up Bible 354, and that was Lamentations by Lamentations 354. So it says, "Waters flowed over mine head. Then I said, I am cut off." Obviously, y'all know I went deeper, right? I had to go deeper and read the verses surrounding this verse. And the interesting thing is, I pretty much read the entire Lamentation 3, which I do have in the Go Deeper section. You can do that as well. But if you don't, right, I think you should definitely check out Lamentations 3:22 through 26, which, interestingly enough, happens before this verse. And the reason those verses were standing out to me this morning is it talks about, like, if I just paraphrase what those verses talk about, they're pretty much talking about, like, God and his mercy and things like that. And then after that, this person says, "Waters flowed over mine head. Then I said, I am cut off." So even in spite of knowing that God has this grace and mercy, and we talked about the other day that, look, this is what came to me to this morning about even the topic from the other day. I know y'all might have noticed, again, the weird way that I spelled it and everything like that. I told y'all the whole story about why I named it that way and stuff like that. But what I received today is, odd is God's faithfulness. And yeah, that's what came to me today when reflecting back on that, and everything like that. And so it's very odd, right? It's very strange and odd, this concept of the way that God gives us grace, mercy, and all those things. And, you know, again, I think because it's so foreign to us and it's so odd and it's so strange and it's not something that we would do naturally, you know, we can see the grace and mercy of God and we understand it to a certain extent. We're like, oh, it's there. But at the same time, we'll still condemn ourselves, right? This person says, it literally says here, then I said, I am cut off. So it's like, and the whole Lamentations is like this whole, it's like ongoing, this person is reflecting on a bunch of things and it's saying like, oh, this and that, I am no longer, as basically talking as if they don't have the grace and mercy of God. And I found that to be interesting. I found that to be interesting this morning. So yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what more verses I came across this morning. Obviously, all of this pretty much reminded me of that quote that I was telling y'all the other day about the sea of forgetfulness, right? Again, if you read the Bible, God isn't necessarily condemning us. Like, yes, there are things in place, and yes, there are consequences to actions that are in place. But at the end of the day, like, God isn't going out of his way to condemn us. God isn't like, yep, so you failed and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's done everything, right, to make a way for us, to choose to, and giving us the choice to decide what we want to do with our life and what we want to do with the afterlife, So yeah, like, again, I know I said to y'all the other day, I'm like, yeah, I know we got to look up that verse about the sea of forgiveness, right? Well, I did this morning, and that's Micah 7:19. It says, but he will turn again. He will have compassion upon us. He will subdue our iniquities, and thou wilt cast all their sins into the depths of the sea. So there you go. Like, I mean, now I did come across the verse this morning that was saying that if you say that you don't have sin, that basically that you're a liar. And then of course the Bible tells us that all have sinned. So none of us are perfect, right? And none of us are ever going to be perfect. Jesus was the only one, right, to live according to or life without sin. So with that should be a humbling thing as well. That should be something that, hopefully encourages us and inspires us to know that, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. Everybody, right? Everybody has gone through this thing one way or another. That's another thing as well that came into my heart and mind. I didn't write down the quote. I meant to go and find a quote to read to you all verbatim. But basically, I mean, I've seen several quotes that go along these same lines to say that, like, basically all the things that we've gone through in life, even the things that we feel like, oh, this is the worst thing, or the things like when we're going through it and we feel like, oh, I can't make it through this, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? You did make it. You did make it. Anything in your life, any terrible thing, anything that, again, the lowest points in your life, if you are listening to the sound of my voice today, most likely you have overcome that thing. And if you're in the midst of one now, just think back on something in the past then. If you're in the midst of a situation now and you're like, man, I'm at a very low point now and I don't feel like I can make it. Remember how you made it before. Like, again, it's just interesting that we tend to forget, again, about the grace and mercy of God. We tend to forget, the verses in, Lamentations 22 and 26, to then go to Lamentations 54 and still condemn yourself. So yeah, like, let's stop condemning ourselves. I think that was one thing that I considered naming this episode, Stop Condemning Yourself, just to tell you to stop doing it. But I mean, I just focused on condemning yourself in general or whatever. But yeah, I guess I'm telling you in this moment to stop. Try your best to stop condemning yourself. Stop drowning yourself. Stop killing your own spirit. At the end of the day, again, remember that God has grace and mercy for you. Remember that you can make it through. Like, you have already made it through a lot of things, right? And therefore you can continue to make it through with the love, grace, and mercy of God. And so Yeah, and at the end of the day, again, if you get into your word, right, get into the word for yourself, you will see that God does not condemn us. Hell was not created for us. Now, yes, you can go, right, because you choose to go, but it's not because God wants you to go. In fact, it's the Bible is said repeatedly and all these different things is so you don't go. But at the end of the day, you can make that decision for yourself. So yeah, I mean, I know that's loaded. I mean, that's a lot that can be said about that. So let's just keep going. This is what we need to do. All right. So this next verse I'm getting ready to share is telling us what we need to do in order to try to combat these thoughts, right? Combat these things that try to get us to condemn ourselves, to get us in these low places and stay in the low places, right? Let's reflect on this. This is I feel like we always talking about this one on the juice. It's an oldie, right? But it's a goodie, and I hope again that it will encourage and inspire us in this moment. It's 2 Corinthians 10:5. It says, "We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ." There you go, friend. At the end of the day, and sometimes, as look, brother LeBron James, even though I'm just saying, like to say, I'm saying that to be facetious. Whatever. All of us are brothers and sisters in Christ, right? If you choose to be. But anyway, but I guess I'll quote him in this moment, right, to say that sometimes we are our own worst enemy, right? Sometimes we are, again, condemning ourselves. We are critiquing ourselves. We're beating ourselves up when we don't have to. So what can we do? Well, this Bible verse, again, is telling us what to do. It's telling us to destroy those arguments that come against the knowledge of God, right? So again, reflect on those verses back in Lamentations 3:22 and 26. Reflect on God's mercy. Reflect on what God says about us. Reflect on what God has done for us through Jesus, right? Reflect on those things, and then you'll understand, okay, there's no condemnation. Like, there is a way. There is grace and mercy for me. I may fall, but I can get back up. Like, all these different things that you can use to encourage and inspire yourself in these low moments, rather than just sit there and dwell there and live there and never get up and just feel like, oh, I have to stay here. The woe is me and all of that. Like, at the end of the day, God has made a way. So it's up to us, right, to accept it, right, and to do what this verse is saying. Destroy arguments and every lofty opinion, even if it's your own opinion, friend. Even if it's your own. That's what I got to say. Proverbs 16:7. It says, "When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him." Now I know that I was pretty much focusing on ourselves today, like, how we are condemning ourselves, but for some reason this verse really was standing out to me this morning, so I just decided to go ahead and write it down as well. And again, I guess if we go back to what Brother LeBron was saying, that we are our own worst enemies. So maybe we can look at it like this today, friends, that when our ways start to please the Lord, that He will make He's going to make our enemies to be at peace with Him or with us, right? And again, even if the enemy is ourselves, right? That's what I'm receiving today. Even if we are the enemy, He will bring us at peace with ourselves, or give us peace with ourselves, when our ways, right, are pleasing to Him. So, y'all, we can go on and on with this. Y'all can study. There's plenty of verses in the Go Deeper section to peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. I hope that these things encourage you and inspire you to stop condemning yourself, y'all. But the Bible verse of today is Ephesians 6:11. It says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." Friends, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired, and I thank you all for listening this morning. I hope that you all enjoyed this juice this morning, and I look forward to talking to you all on Monday, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.
Hey y'all, I'm Nyla O'Neal with Anchor Providing Institute. We're located at 737 South Hill Street in Griffin, Georgia. Look, this program was birthed out of a will to help and push you closer customizing each and every learning path for each and every student, giving you hands-on education with myself and other teammates. We're here to help you and drive you to be the best version of yourself. Look, we're a 12-week program, and it will be vigorous, but it will be worth the work. Put the work in, you will see it in the end. We are dedicated to seeing you not only finish our program, but to get certified. We are an accredited school through the National Phlebotomy Solutions, and we are so ready to meet each and every one of you. Contact us today.